So I've got I'm not sure what year it is. It's a Honda CRF250 X. So the gentleman was riding it and it stopped all of a sudden, and he's had a bit of a look at it to see if he can find out what's wrong with it. So he's messed with the kill switch, he's took all these plastics off, so I've been told that it won't start still. So what I'll start with is the easy stuff really. So I'm going to check it's got fuel in the carb, then I'm going to check to see if we've got an ignition source, go from there really. So check we've got fuel in the carb. Yes, there's fuel in the carb. So what I'll do now is I'll just take the fuel line off, pull the tank off. It needs more light in here really. Yeah, so pull the tank off I think. In fact, I might try and start it myself, so just to make sure. Right. And also it's a good idea to do this just to sort of feel how the engine feels through the Kickstarter, if you know what I mean. Well, good if it's seized up, so I'll put some choke on. Choke lever's a bit sticky. Kickstarter's a bit bent. Right. That proves that it's still not working. So I'm going to pull the tank off. Before I do that, I've just drained the carb off completely there, and then I'm going to leave it open actually, and then I'm going to open the tap to make sure that it's coming through. Yeah, it's coming through. So we'll refill it because I didn't say there'd be that much fuel in the carb. We'll refill it and then just make sure that it's not going to start. The good thing about these carbs is there is a nut on the bottom there. You can get to the jets and everything, so it's possible it's just a blocked jet. Just give it another shot. Chokes on. I'm not hearing any sort of pops, so I feel like it's got to be some sort of ignition problem. So I'll get the HT lead, the coil off the plug first. And we'll get the plug out. there's not a lot of carbon on that plug. So it's either a new plug or a, yeah, not sure. Well, we'll test it anyway. On these Hondas, they have like a special, it's just got a number 8 on the, can you see that? It's just got a number 8 on the side, and that's what they should have. And they have a very funny like electrode setup. Quite expensive this plug, because I think it's a one-off. So I'll need that actually. So I'll put that in the plug cap, ignition coil. I should call it a coil and plug really. And then we'll hook it up to this high voltage. I think they have a high voltage. Basically, it's like 200 volts here, and then obviously your normal spark power. So there's a couple of things to check on the ignition system on these bikes. They're not as easy as you'd think to test. So I'm going to stick it around there in the shade and see if I can crank it fast enough by hand. So we are getting a good spark, or a spark at least. So I think the next thing I'm going to try is take the air filter off and then just give it some carb cleaner, the usual thing that I do, just to see if we can get it to fire. Could do with a new air filter really, couldn't he? Has this one got the side door, or is it just the top exit? It was blue once, this filter. Oh, Jesus. Wow. A new filter would be suggested. Let's have a look in here, see how dirty it is. Oh, it's absolutely filthy. So all that dirt, can you see that? That's not going to do any favours to the bike. It's absolutely covered in dust. It's probably just engine oil, but or it might be filter oil that's been in there a while. So stick a finger in here. Yeah, it's all gravelly. So what that could do, in case you don't know, if the dirt gets in the engine, it's going to cause damage in various places. So I mean, the downside with these engines is they have a low compression test. So the compression test is like 65, 75. So really, you can't do a very good compression test when you, especially kickstarting it. So what I'm going to try a bit of carb cleaner in just to see if we can get any life out of it. Chances are, I think that's probably something wrong with the engine, or worn out engine. Right, I've got my carb cleaner there, but I haven't squirted it yet, so I'm going to try and start it without the air filter. Don't expect anything to happen, and there should be plenty of fuel in the carb, so give it a few kicks and try it in this state. I'll give it a few throttle pumps. So give it a good dose of carb cleaner now. Not too much, but something. I'll open the throttle a bit. So no life whatsoever out of it. So what I'm going to do now, get the borescope camera out of breath. I've got the camera. Right, so at first glance that looks pretty nice actually. So I'm going to try and turn the crankshaft. Get it to the bottom of the cylinder. That looks about it. So yeah, this camera's not the best, to be honest. So I'll try and rotate it. It looks a fairly well, anyway, so what we noticed so far is the piston's got a lot of oil on it, so chances are the piston's worn out. Doesn't take much on these engines, unfortunately, because they've got such tight tolerances. So I'm going to do a compression test and see what that says, because the piston needs to be replaced quite frequently on these bikes, so it's really hard to tell just with the camera. There might be some wear in the cylinder, you just can't really see with the camera, to be fair. So we'll get the compression tester out. Right, I'm going to try and get a good compression test on this. Before I do that, I'm just going to unhook the coil. I'm going to give it a few kicks with full throttle. I just need a better kickstart really for this. Ooh, ouch. Well, that doesn't look too bad, although... Where are we? 5 point... Oh, there, PSI. I'll give it a few more kicks. Right, 73 PSI, although strictly speaking that's quite low for a compression test. They've got a decompressor valve on them, so I'm going to have a look at the Honda manual and see what the number should be, but I'm pretty sure it's 65. I'm just going to try a new plug on it. Okay, it started. It was probably running on the carb cleaner, I think. So I'm going to put the tank back on, see if it'll start up again. So let's see if it'll start on the fuel in the tank. Fuel on the tank. See if it'll go. obviously it runs. I had to back off the idle screw, and this might be something worth mentioning. Often when people break down, they'll often try and get it to start with this idle screw, so it's possible that he's wound it up thinking that would help, and then obviously it made it worse, made it harder to start, if you know what I mean. So, but I think it's highly likely that this plug might have just quit working properly, although as you saw it was sparking and it looked okay, but it hasn't got the right plug in. But you know, this is last time I checked, these were about £35 for a new one of these, and the plug that's in now is just a one that I carry in the van all the time. So it's a CR9E, which is a similar thread. It sticks out a little bit further into the combustion chamber. These ones are quite a shallow electrode, and obviously it's got this taper on it as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to say to him, this needs chucking in the bin, really. Anyway, it might actually run a bit better now with a new plug, and it might run a bit better with a new air filter.